Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again. I must conserve every bit of strength that I can. But we have a wonderful show for you tonight. I know you're going to enjoy.
Cannabis in Canada.
Welcome back to Cannabis in Canada. This is Thursday, November 5th, 2015. And man, what is happening? This is Cannabis in Canada, where the controversy has constantly met the concrete. And we've constantly reported on the monopoly and what's going on. And my God, there is a war going on in the prairies. This is like the war in the prairies. I say war. We've been reporting on this for a long time. Sorry, I'm getting feedback in my ear. Can you cure my ear there, Paul? Yeah, so with the war that's going on in the prairies here, and I say war because it's now been a third dispensary raided, and we have Mark Hauk that's going to be coming on tonight to actually discuss some of these topics, and really to go through everything with us to discuss what's going on. But this is the third dispensary raided, you know, and the problem that I have is that they're raiding dispensaries while they're regulating and implementing dispensaries in cities like Calgary. Now, I can rant and rave about this all night long, but first I need to introduce, as always, my co-host, Chad Jackett. Welcome to the show, Chad, and how you been, brother? Damn, that beard's getting big, bro. Holy shit. I just looked at the picture, I'm like, damn, that beard's getting big, bro. Fuck.
Yeah, man, yeah. I'm doing good, buddy. I'm doing good. You know, I'm a little bummed out right now because I just went out earlier to put my goats away and went in and found one of my oldest hens dead in the goat bucket, which was very upsetting. But other than that, I'm doing pretty good, man.
Oh, shitty.
Yeah.
Well, so what do you think about this most recent raid, bro? The most recent raid in Saskatchewan, you know, that's now the third club in the Central Plains, if you have it, to be shut down and hit as they institute LP clinics, you know, in cities like Calgary.
Sorry, say again?
I'm just saying, like, I find it funny how they're shutting down. They've raided now 3 dispensaries, and this particular gentleman's been charged with numerous offenses. He could face up to 10 years under the Mandatory Minimums Act. They've raided 3 dispensaries, and I'm just, it just kind of is lending once again to this monopoly. Sorry, I even lost track of what I was saying there, just because
Well, you know, it's a war going on out there, like you said, man, and you know, it's going on all over the place. It might seem like it's going on in the prairies right now, and that might be ground zero for the moment, but it's also, you know, it's everywhere. British Columbia is under attack. The whole country is under attack as far as cannabis rights go. And, you know, this is coming in from bureaucrats that have nothing to do with our country, that are trying to run our country and trying to, you know, tell the so-called elected politicians around here what they can and cannot do, which is the United Nations.
And I'm also going to come straight out and call out you activists out there. You want to start splitting up the cannabis culture and start saying, oh, well, you guys that are against legalization are somehow bad for the culture. And those that are for legalization are somehow bad for the culture. Stop the divide and conquer. I can tell you now, no monopoly is good for Canada and is bad for the culture. That's going to be the position I take. And I'm sorry, Mr. Army, you feel this is a great step forward. Our brothers and sisters are going to get out of jail. Yeah, maybe if they possess LP weed. But for those that don't, they're still moonshiners and they're going to go to jail, sir. So before you say this is just an okay, let's just usher in legalization and say okay, I say no, baby step forward, but we let in a monopoly. We let in a freaking monster. Let's lead by example, leaders. Chad?
Yeah, you know, it is. It's a monster that, you know, was the plan was laid out a long time ago to try to overtake the cannabis community, the cannabis industry, and to try to take this plant back away from the people again and you know, dole it out to them in small increments. So, you know, it's time that people wake up and realize that, you know, under the MMAR, those permits and those, you know, that was an admission of guilt on the part of the government. The government admitted that for all those years that they were beating people up, throwing them in jails, you know, tearing their families apart, and doing all these terrible things that they've been doing to people. That was an admission of guilt, that they've been doing all of that for no reason at all, other than to line their own pockets and for greedy purposes, to keep people sick, keep people down, and keep people begging the pharmaceutical industries for help.
Absolutely. And you know, Justin Trudeau comes in with this legalization. I would ask everybody to please look at what the actual language is. Tax, control, and heavily restrict access. Heavily restrict access. That is it. Do you hear anything about personal production?
That's right, and he runs in on this. You know, it's good for the children. It's all about the children. The children. That's all I hear these days. It's about the children. Well, what about all these kids that are suffering from epilepsy and all these seizures, and they can't get a hold of the medicine? What about these children? You know, what about them? What about the kids that because they don't have a piece of paper that, you know, that they have that might back up their medicine from a doctor, that their parents are trying to give the medicine? What about their families that are getting torn apart just because they're trying to bring the medicine to their kids and they can't even find a doctor to sign for them? You know, like, this is ridiculous. This is a plant that's helping people just because of pieces of paper, you know, that are signed by so-called government officials. People are suffering.
No, and I agree. And this is what I mean. A lot of people need to understand. Legalize is very open-ended term. And I've been saying this for 2 years on the show. It's an open-ended term without a model. Justin has not introduced the model. So we're chanting legalize, but I'm telling you now, it might mean that you have to go to 7-Eleven and buy LP weed or Shoppers Drug Mart and get your prescription, and that's it. And then you pay their prices, their taxes, just like you do with alcohol. That's the problem that I see with the monopoly, and the fact that they moved this monopoly in under a false flag, that's a whole nother issue. You know, I'm a very patriotic to my country, but that was a false flag. You know,
I can't let them hide behind this, you know, save the children thing as well. You know, it's not saving the children to now criminalize our children. You know, just because it's becoming legal for everybody that's an adult to now change it, to now turn at the children and say, well, okay, but what about the children? If they get caught with something in their pocket, we want to still be able to harm them and throw them in juvenile detention and do all these harmful things to them. Well, no, I say that's not about the children. That's because they want to criminalize another group of people, which is our youth, and we can't allow that to happen.
Yeah, and that's just it. A lot of this protect the children, save the children. Again, I say with no lethal death dose, okay, with cannabis, and with no addiction more than caffeine, we say this every week on the show, okay, then why do we need to govern cannabis like a gun? And this becomes the issue of why do people need to be criminalized? And sure, we can legalize to buy LP weed, you know, but if you grow your own and sell it,
guns so heavily governed, for God's sakes. You know, I remember a day when a guy used to go out with his old man when he was 16 or 15 or however age, and go hunting for deer, and it wasn't a big deal because his old man was watching him with that gun, not some government official. You know, I don't understand why we all think we need these government officials in our lives to watch over every step of our lives. You know, I mean, what's going on where you can't even go hunting these days and bring your kid out and show them how to, you know, get meat these days, especially if you're in the cannabis community, because chances are you've had your privilege that they call privilege, which is not a privilege, it's a right to get your own meat and go out and hunt and be self-sufficient. They try to take that away from most of the cannabis community.
Yeah, well, it's where we're at now. It's a war, and again, it's like the dispensaries. Dispensary owner after dispensary owner. Now I've spoken with Mr. Kurt Tucson about macros. I've had a chance to speak with various other attorneys, and everyone you talk to, every law firm, you know, there's no real sound legal case to turn the drug dealer into the healer, to say it's okay to sell drugs. This is the problem. The LPs have come in, they're the only legal supply. Now this bullshit they sold to Vancouver, that medical patients like myself have been the supply, it's a lie. We can't even mail our own medicine to ourselves. There are so many lies in this whole situation that we need to get to the bottom of it. And our guest tonight, before we go to break, and you'll have a chance to see him in his full glory, is Mr. Hauk. And when we go to commercial break here, you'll see him demonstrating and making his voice known about his cannabis rights in the country of Canada. We'll see you after break.
Well, we were just saying that, you know, from a political point of view, it's an issue that's really at the federal government level. I mean, it's that level. From a Board of Police Commissioners' point of view, the board and the chair never get involved in the operations of the police department. They set policy. operations handled by chief.
So we're in the same position as every municipality in this country. Okay? We're under unreasonable federal medicine marijuana regulation that causes people in our community to suffer. Sick and dying people in our community go without their medicine. Okay? So city councils, mayors, police chiefs right across this country have stood up and said, you know what? These federal policies are unreasonable. We're going to do the right thing for our people, as tough as it is. I don't envy the position of any police board, of any city council, to have to create regulation that contravenes federal regulation. That's a tough place to be.
Yeah.
But what's more important, adhering to unreasonable federal regulation, come down to the police station in an hour. I really would encourage you guys to do so. And you can meet not people that are just for marijuana legalization and like to use cannabis legally. That's not what we're talking about here. Come down and meet the MS patients, meet the cancer patients, okay, that don't have medicine today. And and we're going to address it down at the police station. The lies that Chief Wavell and others are telling in the media right now while I was locked up in jail are shameful. And I'm out there to set this record straight to the media today, okay? And it is nonsense that I was somehow producing things in my home. These things will be thrown out and be found ridiculous.
Yeah.
None of those are true. Second, but more importantly, the notion that the police keep coming back to that, look, there's nothing to worry about here. Everyone can get their medicine through the federal providers. That's not true.
See, that's the issue.
It's
That,
not.
as we were just talking about that, that's the issue that I think that needs to be discussed.
That's exactly what I did at council months ago, right? A 10-page letter. It just dissected just that. It's the reason council voted in favor of exploring regulations. It's the reason you guys were exploring it. No one ever got back to me. The only time anyone got back to me was 10 drug officers through the front door. I'm a block away from City Hall. I'm a block and a half away from the police station. I have an open door policy. I'm there every day. I carry my cell phone 24 hours a day. And that's how I'm treated? And I'm locked in jail for the night? Somebody needs to explain how this is the right decision. An allocation of our resources.
Well, that's the police chief's operations, and he deals with operations.
Were you in support of what happened?
That's not for me at all.
Can you say whether you're supportive or not?
The chief follows the laws of the land, and I think that we need to follow the laws of the land.
So you're supportive of the club being raided and us going to jail? And you're supportive of those hundreds of patients outside of the police station this afternoon that do not have access to medicine? You're in support of that?
Everyone has the opportunity to get medicine.
Do they? You are factually, you were wrong, okay? And I'm here to help educate that if you'd like to understand that. Come and meet the patients that need cannabis oils. Tell me where somebody legally buys cannabis oil today.
There's no licenses out there.
There
so we
is
can't
no
buy them
provider.
from us.
CBD oil that's non-psychoactive that MS patients use and children use for seizures. It's not available legally. This is the whole point of doing what we're doing.
I guess you should talk to the federal government about it.
I should talk to the federal government. Do you think I have much of a voice with the federal government, or do you think you as a mayor and city council have a voice with the federal government?
You stand behind us.
Do you stand behind us as citizens or no? We as individual citizens need to lobby the federal government? That's what we have municipal local government for.
Sorry, no, that's not correct.
No, it's
No?
No,
This
I
is
don't say. No, we're finished talking about it.
okay.
I would like to extend you guys an invitation to come down to the police station today to meet hundreds of the citizens that you represent that are out of medicine today. I would encourage you to do so. They deserve an answer here.
I'm kind of disappointed. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
You're the commissioner of the police. You're top of the police board, right? You give direction,
The laws of the land are the laws of the land.
whether they cause harm to our community or not.
Those laws are dealt with by the courts of law.
How about progressive? What do you have to say about the progressive mayors in Vancouver and Victoria and Kimberley that are standing up and saying, you know what? We're not going to watch our citizens suffer just because of an unreasonable concern of federal government. What do you have to say to them?
I don't say anything.
They're wrong?
I don't say anything.
That's the problem, is you don't say anything. That is the problem.
Yeah. Thanks for coming down, Mark. Appreciate it.
Wow. Okay, are we back on here, Paul? Okay, well, there it is. Mark, welcome to the show, my friend. That was an incredible, that's the first time I've seen that video, but man, way to hand it to the mayor and try to educate about the medical patients that you represent, my friend. You spoke passionately and wow, you know, good on you. You know,
Thanks for saying so, guys. It's as you can see, it's unfortunate. It fell on very deaf ears.
It did, and you live in a very conservative, let's just say, area of town or area of the country, if you have it. Now you're the owner operator of the Saskatchewan Saskatchewan Compassion Club that just recently got raided, and you went ahead and reopened Monday. Is that correct?
Yeah, obviously I had to do so without any medicine. Thursday morning, quite by surprise, as I said, the police came through with 10 undercover officers strong through the front door, quite unnecessarily. Took everything we had, kicked the back door into my home, turned it upside down, took my personal medicine, took all the money, took my phones, my computers, took three others in custody with me and did the same to them.
Now you've been hit with 8 counts of trafficking, 1 count of production, and 1 count of proceeds of crime. I'm assuming that's money seized. Is that accurate or fair to say?
It was money seized, money seized from the club that they would have, that they've accounted for over 5,000.
Wow.
And back to their charges for a moment, and you may have seen them, a number of them stem from our operations at the store. A couple, as I've tried to square away in the media a number of times, they unnecessarily kept the 4 of us in jail overnight, in detention center overnight, in custody for 24 hours. Midway through the night, an officer came to get me in for an interview and let me know that they finished the search of my home and added a couple charges. One for being the production of cannabis resin, and the second for being in possession of over 3 kilos of it.
Sorry,
And I had a chuckle at that and said, well, I've never made resin. I don't know how to make resin, and nor do I have 3 kilos of it.
And on that note, Mark, can I just interrupt you there on that note? Just they tried to charge you with production of cannabis resin.
Yeah, and that's so he got me out of my. They came and got me out of my cell at 3 a.m. to tell me they've added charges after the search of my home, and I asked what they were, and then they stemmed from the search of my home, and it was the production of cannabis resin and possession of 3 kilos of cannabis resin with intent of trafficking. And I had a chuckle at that because, of course, I've never made cannabis resin and don't know how to, and nor do I possess any other than the couple grams I possessed as my own medicine.
Do you have a federal
And
license?
as it turns out, in the interview, I pressed them to. I was curious, of course, what it was that they thought that they might have had, and as it turns out, it was 4 small jugs of cannabis juice that was juiced from cannabis leaves that possesses no active THC or little of it. And that's what they think they have 3 kilos of resin with. And so the whole notion that they've put together this 6-week undercover operation involving dozens of people, and it's just madness, and they don't even have half the charges will be thrown out immediately, and the rest are questionable at best.
Well, the cannabis resin, I have to say right there. Now, do you have a federal license?
I do, yeah.
Okay, so right now, just so you know, I'm no lawyer, but I'm sure lawyers can chime in, and your lawyer can chime in. But you, my friend, cannot be charged for producing cannabis resin, and you're right now under a Section 56, which means you're exempt from the CDSA in respect to that. So those charges will definitely be tossed out.
Yeah, and isn't that crazy when those kind of charges come about in a 6-week investigation involving our police force and the RCMP and God knows how many tens or probably more than 100,000 of dollars. It's insanity at best.
It is. Well, this whole war is insanity. This is now 3 dispensaries that have been hit. 3 dispensaries where there's small pockets of people and they know they can hit us, while they continue to box up BC.
Yeah, and I guess the craziness, and you touched on it, of what they've done here is we engage city council at the highest level, right? Engage the police, and so for them to have taken the actions they did after the course of actions we took, and the responsible manner that we operated, and it's craziness, and I'll add, it hasn't stopped here. And if you've seen the video of the mayor, and the comments of our police officials aren't much better in terms of intelligence and compassion, and they continue to repeat the mantra of the law is the law, and they could care less who suffers because of the law. And the Saskatoon police force here, I'll tell you now, they've taken as you might imagine, and rightfully so, a whipping in the press and in the court of public opinion. That there's a serious backlash, and again, rightfully so. They're not taking that well. They I've recently found this. So we've had incredible community support here in the way of cash donations and computers replaced and my personal cell phone replaced, and I can't, food brought by. I can't say enough, and people starting fundraisers for us. I was disheartened to hear this morning of the Saskatoon police actually going out of their way to actually intimidate local business owners into not conducting fundraisers for us. And also heard from our leasing agent today, and they've been putting serious pressure on them to get us out of the building. So they haven't stopped. We would have hoped with the public backlash, and there might have been some reflection on the ridiculousness.
So they're using. So let me just get this clear. They're using police resources to stop you from fundraising to defend yourself.
So, and again, that's my first-hand account, but I'll tell you, I wouldn't repeat it if I didn't think it to be very true. And I wasn't imagining, my leasing agents in today telling me the very story. So, I would say that we have some great community support, but we need all we can get here, and we're going to rally again this weekend at the police station, and it's it's going to grow, right? Because it's not even the ridiculousness of the raid on the dispensary, but if they think they got public backlash, doing what they did, just wait till these stories get out, right? And if they continue with this nonsense, the public just isn't going to stand for it, nor should anyone across this country.
No, I'm curious here. I have to ask you, Mark. Now, why would they go and with two other clubs they raided them catch and release? Now, with yourself, they've come in and it wasn't a catch and release. They held one of your staff member being Lane. This gentleman suffers from Crohn's disease and quite literally needed his medication. He will suffer. We're actually going to put a picture of Lane up here.
Horrible story that is, of course. And not only Lane, the two girls, there was four of us actually kept in custody overnight, and Lane and the two girls with him are three of the most compassionate, kindest people this community has to offer. And I won't get into the other girls' stories to respect their privacy, but I'll tell you, it's heartbreaking.
Wow. I'm just I'm stumped because again that was where again a medical patient has been locked up that has a medical license, and when there's no victim and there's a crime, it should be a catch and release.
Yeah, absolutely, and that for certain at the end result. But what about leading up to it, right? I mean, we operated in the core of downtown. Again, as I said, right between City Hall and the police station. For months, the police walked by our store on the beat, 10 times a day, every day. No one ever, not once did a police officer ever step foot in that store, nor did the police contact me after we opened the doors. I'm very open and attempted to engage counsel, and did on a very reasonable and civil level to the point we could look back on August 17th, right, in the days leading up or just after we opened the doors. Council supports dispensary regulations. We were taking positive steps. They were coming back to us in October with an answer of a business license and the answer of regulations. Again, nobody ever bothered to respectfully get back to me or the club until the raid took place last Thursday.
That's because I believe, and as we've been reporting here on Cannabis Canada since St. Catharines opened up last year, these LPs hubs, these clinics, these new LP dispensaries, that's what's moving in. That's what they're regulating. They are sure as hell not regulating the traditional dispensaries that we would like to see.
No, and they keep ignoring the fact that we just watched the video with the mayor, and we all know these facts. The pitfalls with the federal program as it is now. I came from I was the health and safety manager for 14 years in the industrial world and private industry, and I wasn't involved in the cannabis world other than that I'd been a patient for a lot of years. And I'd have never come down this road had the federal system been functional, and I was able to myself get my prescription with ease and the medicine I required with ease. I'd have still been off, in private industry, and so the continued and we've got Canada and Prairie Plant Systems is the only LP in this province, and they've done their worst from day one to discredit ourselves and reassure and lie to the public that they offer all the medicine in a timely fashion at the right price that everyone needs, and we all know that not to be true. So shame on them and shame on everyone that was involved in the decision to do this.
Wow. Now I'm interesting here because I'm curious. What are your thoughts now with Judge? Because this needs to be out there for people across the country to understand, for our viewers to understand. What's your take? Just one more activist, one more frontline patient provider. What's your take on Justin Trudeau coming in and legalizing?
So legalization, obviously, I don't. Of course, I hear all kinds of different takes on how long it might take and what the regulations might look like. I come from, of course, the medical angle, and all the sole driver in doing what I was doing here is helping patients with reasonable access. And so I'm very interested to see. Hopefully, in the short term, we hear speculation of legalization, and there's some heavy regulation, or a significant amount of regulation to be sorted out with legalization, as we all know, and it'll take a considerable amount of time. We're hopefully in the short term. There are some things they can do in the short term, right? And certainly in the medical side of things, and make some amendments quickly. And we don't. Yes, legalization might take a little bit of time here, but we certainly don't need to drag our feet and let the medical program drag on dysfunctionally for any longer, knowing that it causes people to literally suffer. I'm hopeful for some changes on the front there, real quick, and particularly in Saskatoon, right? We were the first and only dispensary here. So, what's really sad today is I literally have conversations with people coming through the door and asking where it is in Saskatoon they should go, because they are going to the street, right? And I know many people roll their eyes and say, bullshit, Mark, there's a federal provider and they'll go get their medicine there. And we all, again, some people, that's simply not an option, whether it's price, derivatives, shipping time, or whatever the case might be. I'm having those conversations, right? A 62-year-old cancer patient came in today, and she's sending her husband to go out to the west side tonight to go buy marijuana, and asked me what he could look for to figure out whether it was indica sativa or it was good or bad or otherwise. And I dare anyone to try to wrap their head around that one and justify the actions taken and think that that's the right course of action, because it's again, madness.
It is madness. It was madness when they had edible, again, these regulations that would come in and ban edibles, when the Supreme Court of Canada has said...
I actually, carry on. I was at the police station yesterday to attempt to gather some of my personal belongings, and I ran into Inspector Hayes and had a little bit of a chat with him and asked him, and I come back and I was, I'm sure, puffy-eyed and red-faced from a lot of tears shed this week. And I had just finished with one of our members who's in a wheelchair and used edibles and oils, and was there to ask, first of all, she was there to lend her support, then ask, if there was anywhere we could recommend for her to get her the medicine she'd be getting from us that she had just, discovered in the last 2 months. And so I asked Inspector Hayes what it was I was supposed to tell this woman, where she was supposed to get her medicine. And of course, he recited the same old nonsense that he hoped that I told her to get it from a legal federal producer. And I said, no, I couldn't do that because she needs edibles and oils, and they don't provide that. Do you have any other suggestions? And he said, yes, tell her to get it and process it herself. I said, she's in a fucking wheelchair. She can't process it for herself. And his response to me was, she's eating, isn't she? Pardon? She's eating 3 meals a day, isn't she? And I said, yes, I'm not sure what that has to do with anything. His answer was, well, somebody's making her food, they can process her medicine, and he walked out the room.
That was Inspector Dave Hay, just to be correct.
That's the man making decisions.
Yeah, I had him in my notes here as well, because he said that his officers are instructed to not issue warnings to recreational weed smokers. Don't issue any warnings. Well, what's that mean?
He was the star in a Vice article a couple of weeks or a week before the raid, right? Bragging that it was Vice out exploring how municipal police forces would handle simple possession of cannabis now that legalization was impending and the Liberals are in power. And there was Inspector Hayes bragging to Vice that they don't give warnings and they look to charge for as little as a roach. What's ironic about that is now that's what happened and the public backlash that has come their way. You can see now they're quick to release stats showing they're not the worst in the country and we're not the worst. And I thought, well, what is it? 2 weeks ago, you're bragging about being the hardest on it, and now you're backpedaling furiously. It's We all know why that is. Of course, they don't have any justification in what they did, and it's not just me, being dramatic. It's literally causing people harm, by the hour right now, and that's a sad state of affairs.
Shout out to our audience, shout out to our sponsors, people like the Beard Brothers, people like Corona Medicinals, Onwards We Grow. I mean, we just got a lot of stuff going on. I wanted to make sure we get these shout outs. At the same time, I want to circle back here and look at one thing I need to correct on is just that now, thanks to the R versus Smith decision, unfortunately, LPs can sell and they have been permitted licenses to sell oil now. So they are, unfortunately, they've been granted that under Section 56 by the health minister.
And my argument, of course, was they've been, I believe it to stand today, a handful or a dozen have been permitted to produce, but I don't believe anyone is actually selling today. And that's not a huge point to make either, because we know that to be, changed soon, and there will be a certain amount of derivatives sold, and we can all agree that that's certainly not the it's a fraction of what needs to be sold in terms of high THC cannabis oils and edibles and concentrates to vaporize. So there's a lot missing, but it's a good step.
Well, I'm still hoping that in the macros case, that in any of these cases, one of these test cases will show that, one, the government still cannot provide reasonable access. I think they only got 20,000 people accessing their program after being in operation for over a year. There's an estimated 1 million medical marijuana users in Canada. So the MMPR is failing.
And I see them roll out the stats of the overall production and overall numbers, but we know that's not relative, right? Depending on what LP you belong to. And I've actually had two members in the last couple of days share with me emails. They're Delta 9 members, and they're Delta 9 apologizing about the shortages and their one strain for the month of October that they had at times on the shelf. So there it is. Those are emails from yesterday and today. It's happening right now, right? Patients overall, yes, they may be producing enough. I don't know that to be true. I see them roll out those numbers, but that's not. Again, it doesn't matter, because patients are generally only members of one LP, and if that LP is out of medicine completely or doesn't have the right strain, then that's not reasonable access. And I don't really care what the average being grown is, because it's if there's one person being left out, it's one too many.
I agree, and it's also not reasonable that you go and you pay all this money and then you got an expiry date, and as soon as it expires, you're illegal again.
Absolutely, guys. And I was listening to the show earlier before I got on, and I'm intrigued on the your guys' end of things, and I have much respecting. And I don't come from the cannabis community in terms of I didn't have a license under the MMAR to grow, and I'm of course hopeful that'll change, and I'll have that opportunity here one day. But I have much respect for your rights, and believe we don't have legalization unless people have a right to grow. That's I'm pretty firm in that.
Absolutely. Well, we always say we're going to overgrow the government. I say let's keep overgrowing the government. You can't overgrow the government without the plants, and you can't truly say we freed the plant without the plants.
Absolutely.
All we freed is the smoke.
You bet.
So, Mark, my friend, let me see. I just got to check over my notes. I mean, I was pumped up from that action. Now, legally moving forward, I guess my question to you, I'm assuming it's going to be a reasonable access defense. Are you got legal counsel?
Yeah, actually, I briefly touched base with Mr. Tusaw, and excited to have a call with him very early next week and head that direction.
Excellent. Well, yeah. Kurt's definitely, shout out to Kurt Tusaw again. I spoke to him earlier this week about macros. The man's on fire. He's on top of this, and he knows what we know, that there's a monopoly in this country, and it's not good for Canada.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I couldn't be happier than to have him represent me. That's for sure.
Yeah. Now, Mark, what would you say to your patients? Because, man, I know that you are just, your passion came out there talking to the mayor. So what would you say to your patients right now who are, I know you've become a resource center where you're not selling, but you're able to come in there and get information from you about, their cannabis still and et cetera. So what would you say to those patients right now? Go ahead and talk to them.
Yeah, well, I do communicate it the best I can with them through Facebook and email, and a lot of them have called, and a lot of them have stopped in. I can tell them that we're not going anywhere. We're going to fight the good fight. We're going to it is our intent, of course, and we're confident that we'll beat these charges. We'll get back to business. In the short term, I encourage them to get in touch with me, come stop in. We can point them in the direction, and we have for many of them, of very reliable, trusted sources of the medicine they need in the short term. And I guess to thank them, I've been overwhelmed. We all have been in the last days with the incredible generosity and support we've received.
And I've been getting call after call. My cell phone's been going. I've heard you all. That's why we're here tonight talking once again about the Central Plains. There is a war going on in this country, and finally, we're starting to see them. I told you guys since 2012, this was never about the gardens. It was about the genetics. It was about supply and distribution. It was about controlling the market. And that's what's still going on now, only they're showing their ugly teeth because now they have their foot in the door fully. They are the legal supply. And now they're crushing any opposition.
Yeah, it's and like I said, in prairie plant systems, particularly here in our province, was out. I see yesterday doing their worst, and I've had no shortage of people come through and speculate their hand in all of this, and I certainly wouldn't dismiss or yeah, we certainly see the worst, particularly at the prairie plant systems. I've had a couple other LPs reach out to me over the last couple of months and actually in disgust of Mr. Zettel's approach. I
was just going to say, Brett Zettel is and I got to say this because you know this, Brett, 2005 National Committee, we served on this. I told you one strain will not fix all. And you tried with PPS to sell medical patients to Canada. Not only was it gamma process, one strain, and it failed. Then they gave you the first 2 licenses again. They went and allowed you to have 2 more licenses. I don't know how this is not corruption, but man, I don't even want to get started on Brett Zettel. Him and Chuck were fishy. Those two
I've got some more things to say his way.
What's that?
I said maybe we could pick up that conversation another time.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, just in closing again, so that out to your patients. Now, what are you gonna do for fundraising here? Where can people reach you? How can our viewers help you? There is a call to action in the Plains. People have been calling me saying, Jason, shout that out.
It's been a battle. I even to get a GoFundMe page to stick this week in that they're not supportive of certain causes and words, but there is finally a generosity.com page we've just shared on the Saskatchewan Compassion Club Facebook page. If anyone wants to head there, we're appreciative of anything anyone can give. They quite literally did take everything from us. We ran close to the bone, right? Our prices were low, our cost was fairly high. And none of us had much coming into this. So with them taking, every dollar we had and their cell phones and computers, there isn't much left. So we're looking for, we're appreciative of the help to of course, cover legal fees and get the shop back on its feet and get medicine back to the patients. So we got a number of events locally that people have been graceful enough to organize for us and the page. So we'll share all that easiest to get through Facebook, and there's a phone number and email there for us as well.
Perfect. Alrighty, so and hopefully Kurt can open up a trust fund, and then we can get that out to people where you can donate to these different cases, because more and more of these cases are happening, the more and more we need to fund and fight. This fight cannot stop. We need to kick up dust until legalization in Canada is truly a free and fair market for the country of Canada, and the plant known as cannabis is finally freed. We're going to go to commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to have Mr. Jeff Lundstrom to come out and speak a little bit more about this craziness going on in the Central Plains. Mark Hauk, thank you for coming on the show, my friend, and we look forward for future updates.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me anytime.
All right, we'll see you after commercial break.
Cheers.
Hey there, Candid Cannabis viewers. My name's Dylan, and I'm here to help you learn more about cannabis.
Cannabis analysis initiated. Commence scanning. Cannabis analysis complete. Your cannabis strain is ready for review.
We're looking at the award-winning Lindsay strain from Liberty Farms, grown by CNC's own Chad Jackett. He's part of an old BC crew from Lindsay, Ontario, hence the name of this strain. He's been farming for more than 10 years, and this plant was grown indoors using hydroponics. It's got the beauty red hairs along with some orange and tons of trichomes, visually very appealing. This bud has definitely been cured properly, just the right amount of stickiness. Density is the strength of the Lindsay. I wish you could feel this at home. This isn't air. This is full, solid bud. As for the nose, it has a strong aroma, just as you would expect. It definitely has a familiar scent of cannabis, but it's almost citrus in a way, mixed with a pepper or spice. There's also a pine tree smell to this, which is a signature of cannabis grown outdoors. But again, this strain is indoor hydro, so its climate was controlled, leading to a consistent aroma. Now it's time to put this strain to the test, using this device right here called MyDX. This is a portable testing platform that is programmed to analyze and measure what's in the cannabis you're using. You put a sample in this little tray here, pop it in, and wait for the results. Now you know more about the Lindsay strain, a winner at this year's Sask Prairie Cup. I'll be back soon to help you learn more about your cannabis. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.
Introducing Jade Maple, the only media and consulting company in Canada that utilizes seasoned experts in the cannabis industry. In a growing business environment, it can be hard to hold your ground. Like allies in battle, we help hold your fort from the city's regulations and legal uncertainties. Your energy goes into quality of product. Our energy goes into quality of image. How far do you want to go? Dispensary Solutions at jademaple.com.
All right, welcome back. So here we are now. We got Chad Jackett back, and we've got Mr. Jeffrey Lundstrom on the phone here with us on Skype. I mean, we got to keep talking about this because Jeff is the one that called me up and said, "Jason, we got to do something. A call to action. Something has to be done." And we've been doing this call to action now since 2012 to let's do something and stop these guys. That's why we've been lobbying, uniting, and getting together to do something. Jeff, go ahead and fire it off, brother. I know you're fired up. Let us know what's going on. Let us know what you want to get out here to the people in your region, because I think I agree with you. Enough's enough.
Well, what can I say, man? I'm blown away by this, act of war, continued terrorism against the cannabis community, the people that have fought for years to make a difference. The new leading people like Mark, my friend Mark from the Compassion Club. I'm sorry, you want to mess with the bull, you're going to get the horns, and that's what you've done because the gloves are off for this guy right here. I'm sick of this shit. We went down to the police station, we smoked it out. We're going to go back down there, we're going to smoke it out again because they don't seem to be getting that message too loud and clear. But basically what it is I need help. We need help, financial help. So like Mark's got that GoFund page. I paid the rent for the Compassion Club this month because they want to close the fucking doors. And I ain't gonna when there's a breath in my lungs and money in my pocket, that ain't never gonna fucking happen. So they just like they ain't never gonna close Skunk Funk doors, and they ain't ever gonna stop the Prairie Cup because they're scared of people. That's what they're scared. They're scared of us. So I'm not going to stop. And you're damn right I'm fucking fired up because that's what happens when you start messing with my friends. So you want to lock up innocent people like Lane? That's my dog. I remember when he was so sick, I was juicing every cannabis leaf I had off my fucking plants for that boy. I gave him garbage bags full just to watch him get locked up. Nah, fuck that. Fuck that. But we need help, financial help. So that's what this call to action is. Activism across Canada unites. You know, I need everybody from east and west to, if you don't send your support, send your people. If you don't send your people, send your money. If you don't send your money, just come get my fucking back. I've always had everybody's back. I go to everything. I got pepper sprayed in fucking Vancouver for Cannabis Day. I don't even live there. This is a call to action across Canada. I need everybody to come help us. Like I told Jason earlier, I'm one dude. I got a strong mind, a strong back. I'll fight till the day is over. I'll go to jail. I'll get arrested. I'll get charged. I'll go to court. They're going to hear it the whole fucking way. The fat kid ain't never going to stop, but I need people to get my back. Like, just like I got Mark's back. So they ain't going to like it. And when it's over, fuck, we'll still be standing here smoking. I need a toke now.
Fucking right. Excellent rant, right? You know, that's where it's at, because we need this. We need people to hear across this country, the generals of this cannabis culture who are usually peaceful. God knows Jeff, though, all of us across the country who knows Jeff. Man, his heart's as big as him. Man, this is the biggest guy, the best guy in the world. You can piss him off, and that's it. We are a peaceful culture. You came out with Bill C-51. You came out with your special event squad. And yes, indeed, you pepper sprayed our friends, including Jeff, at our day, Cannabis Day, the medical day, which has been going on here for over a decade. And this was that new event squad, that new special event squad to deal with us peaceful protesters that just happen to object to the governing power. There's serious problems in this country, and now, again, medical patients being locked up overnight when they have a pink slip, they're medical patients, and you're locking them up for a victimless crime. There's just no reason. And it is a war, because they're able to use their dogs and lock us up in cells. They're using warrants.
Again, I just want to say, too, for those of you out there that don't know Jeff, you know, Jeff is a very mellow-mannered, very peaceful guy, and to see him so fired up, you know, it really moves me, because, you know, it's sad to see so many of us in this industry, in this community, getting trampled on and beat up and bullied around, and it's sad to see so many, you know, great-hearted people that have to be so angry right now because of this. And, you know, just I can feel you, Jeff. I feel you hurt, buddy.
The people that I met that were at the police station for the rally on Halloween on October 31st. Some of those people got out of their cars in their walkers and their wheelchairs and limped their way over to sit down at the table I provided and the chairs I brought so we could all sit and tell stories about how the club has helped people and changed people. And I mean, just to hear some of the stories and the testimony and all the media there, I mean, we do have the patient support. You know, I know that everybody's heart is in the right place. It's the bureaucrats that run the system that's fucking broken. That, yeah, you're right, I am fired up. It's because I don't want to see my friends picked on no more.
No, you know, and you have every right to be fired up, Jeff. But you know, like I say, it's sad that we all have to be in this position where such wonderful people, such as yourself, you're such a great, kind-hearted man, and to have to see you so upset, it's heartfelt, man.
Well, I hope that things change, and that with this platform of supposed legalization, I don't even know what the fuck that means anymore. I've been fighting this for so long. Yeah. And that the charges go away and my friends can go back to doing what they're doing. We're working desperately to try and figure out how to make income for the Compassion Club. We're trying to open a vapor lounge in the back of the Compassion Club. We're working with his leasing company to hopefully, because he's getting pressured by the police, the leasing company guaranteed to kick him out because they want him to close his doors. So the battle's for real, like it's for real. And they're the fucking biggest bullies I've ever fucking seen in my life. So you're talking to me right now, might be me in jail tomorrow because I do the same thing. I compassionately help patients who don't have reasonable access. I don't have a dispensary and I don't talk about it the way that Mark did. And I don't do that because they're going to come kick my fucking door in and take me away. I got 2 kids. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. But whatever, you know, like, luckily we're non-violent people who can't be locked away for long periods of time. We're very peaceful and So we won't do, we'll do 24 hours like Mark and get released, right? So
Well, they shouldn't be bringing this violence against this peaceful community though either. Nobody should have to sit in handcuffs because of their choice of their medicine of a plant that's been here since the beginning creation. Why are we throwing people in prisons for something that that it's been here forever and it's helping people. It's helping people. Why do we want people to go to jail because they feel good? For a plant, it's ridiculous. So. It's just got to end. All this shit has to end. I don't want to see one more person get locked up for a cannabis plant ever again in my life. So I don't know what we got to do, but I'm with you, Jeff. Until the end, we got to just keep fighting this until this is over, man. This is everybody out there. This is a call to action, like Jeff says. Everybody get up off your asses because we got to do something about this shit. We can't let this stuff just keep riding. We can't let people get beat up and hog-tied on the side of the road. You know how many times I've been hog-tied on the side of the road by cops that don't know the fucking law? I'm tired of this shit too. It's enough.
It's time to go. If they want war, then we need to legitimately bring it to their level. So we need to be pushing our agenda as much as we push theirs. Like I went down to the Compassion Club. I've been down there pretty much every morning last couple of days. And 2 days ago, I rolled up a big fatty, and Mark was like, let's go out back. And I was like, fuck that. Let's go out front. I was like, our day of taking it out back is over. We're taking it out front. I don't hide in the grow closet no more. I'm done with that shit. No. My medicine, my choice, victimless crime, licensed. I don't give a shit what you want to call it. Deal with it. We're here. We're high.
These plants were put here for a reason. They were put here for us to use them, not for us to just put them and have some people be able to put people in jail for them. They're here for our benefit, not for our downfall.
Well, one thing I think we all need to remember, and I think cannabis warriors across this country, you've been warned since 2012, at least by myself, by Cannabis in Canada. We've been around since 2007 on YouTube. Doing this education and awareness. And now we've been warning people since 2012 that this monopoly, this LP system, this MMPR, it's not here for medical. It's not here for us. They're here to take over the country, and they are. And that's the monopoly. So I don't, we keep ranting about this each week, but I don't know what else to say to cannabis warriors other than to now, if we can finally unite, if we can finally agree that legalization where you have to buy tweed weed at a 7-Eleven or a Shoppers Drug Mart is not the legalization platform I fought for 20 years. I don't think Jeff and my other friends have fought for 20 years. We fought to legalize and overgrow the government and free the plant. And I hope that all the other community leaders out there in the cannabis culture remember your roots.
On top of that, I hope that every sick, dying, desperate, broken, fucking neglected patient on the planet called Canada, my heart goes out to every one of you that doesn't have reasonable access, that can't get the medicine they need right now, that have to suffer every fucking day until you either die of your disease or are stripped of every dignity and right that you have. I feel for you. And if you care anything about the fight that I'm up against and Mark is up against, then please find us in the prairies and help us if you can. Otherwise, I don't know.
And join these national collectives. You got the growers, you've got the coalition, you've got these different national entities. And I'd say run to Normal Canada if they had done a little bit more, but they're okay with this legalization model. They're okay with us buying from 7-Eleven because it's a progress step forward that we're legalized. And I say, yes, it's a progress step forward, but we're still going to be going to jail if we choose to make our own or make any moonshine on the side or provide, heaven forbid, provide for Aunt Mary who's dying of cancer, well, then you might still face charges. Understand, legalization don't mean shit until you understand the criminal code. So that's the thing that we have to understand about legalization and anything. And think about now, if you go and you want to go make moonshine, go ahead and try it. See if you can get away with it. That gets to a certain percentage, you're not allowed to make it, you'll get busted, you'll go to jail. But alcohol is legal.
Yep. You know, we need a free and fair marketplace for those that are in the market that just, you know, think that they don't want to have a free and fair market because they think that they're somehow benefiting off of, you know, the so-called black market, which is a free market, but it's sort of not a free market. You know, guys, we all need to get this thing freed up. It's time to put all your shit aside, whether you think, you know, you're going to somehow benefit more in this area or the other. I guarantee you will benefit more in a free and fair, actual legal market for those that think they're going to benefit only in those dark areas these days. I think that's one thing that keeps a lot of people from standing up from a lot of different corners and avenues, is they think that when it's a free and fair market that they somehow won't be able to function. Well, if you have a good product, you're going to be able to function. You're probably going to do a lot better than you are now. You're going to be able to advertise your product, probably maybe globally eventually, if the world catches on to what we're doing and sees that, you know, cannabis is beneficial all over the world. You can maybe start marketing yourself all over the planet. So, you know, folks, it's time that everybody realizes that, you know, it's time to stand up for a free and fair marketplace. Nobody should be getting arrested for growing, selling, using any part of cannabis. It's all got to end. The whole thing, you know. Well, I don't want to see minors go to jail either. The other thing is, you know, they're gonna say, oh, it's for the children, and then they're gonna say we got to protect the kids. We need laws on the kids. Well, then your 16-year-old with the wrong leaf in his pocket gets locked in a friggin' cage, and now they've criminalized a whole new group of people. It's just because these people just want to keep locking people in jail. You know, this plant doesn't hurt anybody. Leave the punishment, if there's ever going to be a punishment for cannabis, that's up to the parent. And let the parent decide whether or not they want to punish their kid, if it's a punishable offense for them or not. You know, you shouldn't let your rights to protect your children completely out of your hands and give it to the state and say, oh, well, you had a plant that's been here from the beginning, and you got caught with it in your pocket, and it's out of my hands. I guess you get to get locked in a big cage now. It's ridiculous.
It's the same thing you were saying earlier, Chad, about them continuing to govern our existence. And what you're trying to govern is free will of people. So if you're sick, especially if you're sick, you're going to take on cannabis if you need it because you're sick of the pharmaceuticals killing your shit. But if you're recreationally using it and you're still a medicinal marijuana user because it has tons of medicinal benefits, and you're using it because you don't know why, but you just like getting high, but you're regulating your whole fucking body anyways because of the cannabidiol, we're all in the same boat. You know, so you can't just have the whole separation. And you're trying to regulate this free will of the whole life. Like,
sorry, bro. Yeah, but just because they're ignorant to the facts doesn't mean that they're not using it medicinally, right? It's funny that these people they just plead ignorance and say, well, I'm just using it recreationally. Do they somehow think if
both sides of the field too? It's the same as the law officials saying, well, there's no real medicinal benefit. You know, the doctor's going, oh, we don't really know what the plant does to help people. Health Canada going, oh, it's not really a medicine, but you can use it. It's fucked. It's all fucked. So fuck them.
Yeah, it's absolutely fucked.
I'm sorry. I'm just so lost and twisted in it all. I'm just. When does
that's what it's really meant to do. It's meant, all this stuff is meant to confuse us and, you know, meant to just wear us all out. And, you know, in the end, what I see they'll try to do is they'll try to basically, you know, they'll try to subsidize it under the health system and say, well, now you get it and it's paid for under Health Canada. It'll be this shitty product from the, you know, the LPs, and that's how they try. Hey,
from CandyMed, Prairie Plant System's greatest weed ever.
Right, and then that's how they'll try to crush everybody again and say, well, there's no need for anybody to stand up and have a proper medicine, and if you are, you're evil or something because your taxes are paying for it already. Well, you know, Prairie Plant Systems, do people know there's a fascist organization moving in and taking over here? Like, Prairie Plant Systems already took how much, like $44 million? Was it
12 years of running the monopoly for the medicinal program?
They took $44 million of our taxes, wasn't it?
Yeah.
To build a new big grow up?
It's a beautiful facility. It's like 15 minutes outside of Saskatoon. Oh, that's like Brent Zettel's little playhouse.
You know what sucks about it, though, that everybody needs to remember? I mean, Jeff, you and I go back probably 20 years in this now, doing activism and fighting for cannabis rights and trying to fight for anything here. Prairie Plant Systems, Brett Zettel, you know, you friggin' the only reason you moved your mine, your Prairie Plant Systems Incorporated from in a mine shaft was because during R versus Barron, in the case where Matt Barron got off on just under friggin' 1,000 plants, you know, for the Vancouver Island Compassion Club Society Research Lab, Prairie Plant Systems Incorporated weed had contaminants, hard metals. In fact, Matt Barron's weed that was grown organically in his house was proven to be more safe for the patient. Unfortunately, the tests were thrown out because they were done by Dr. Paul Hornby at the Green Cross Society and not certified by the courts and not done under proper standards. Therefore, it was tossed out. Nonetheless, that's why Prairie Plant Systems is no longer in a mine and why Brett Zettel simply renamed it to Bedrocan and also owns two of them now. He has a couple licenses. Brett's right in there, has been in there for Brett Zettel. Is it Brett Zettel or Brent? Brett.
Brent Zettel.
Brent Zettel. Yeah, so being the first with Prairie Plant Systems, again, 2005, I told this gentleman, one strain will not fix all. And he didn't listen. And nobody cares. I'm telling you, this MMPR does not care. Now, if the cannabis culture, the cannabis culture, and Jeff, you and I go back warring in this for a lot of years, decades. We have friends from coast to coast. If we can all just put down our own internal egos and come together, you know, honestly, call to action means call to unite. Recognize there's a fight. Pick which side you're on. Are you okay with legalization so that big companies like under the MMPR, these 26 companies can sell to us and have sole control over supply and distribution of marijuana in this country? Or do you want a free and fair market? Pick your side of the battle line because this battle has to happen. This dust has to get kicked up until we come to a resolution where Canada, when Justin makes his move and legalizes and takes it out of the CDSA, my friends, it drops to the province. And the strongest lobbying voice will be the ones who get the model that they want. The only one problem that we have, and again, I'll remind everybody that as of April 1st, 2014, the legal supply, the only legal supply for redistribution in the country of Canada is licensed producers. They're also the only ones who can legally mail through the mail system. For those of you who think that you can mail to yourself, you can't. And you can be charged, as some of you have found out. My lawyer just let me know of a couple cases.
The word legal is such a loaded word, isn't it?
Yeah.
It sure doesn't mean lawful, you know? But what does it mean, really? Like, it's league. It's a league, right? Either it's in a league of their own. It's legal. I don't really understand that word. It doesn't really seem to be lawful, you know? So I think that's a loaded word that needs to be looked into deeper.
Well, again, it's open-ended. Again, all this stuff's open-ended without terms. But now, Jeff, call to action. What would you suggest? Because, my brother, you are a former national representative of the coalition. You sat and you served with us. You know, you just stepped aside because things got too busy with yourself and with Skunk Funk. So now what would you suggest? Because to fight a national monopoly, a federal monopoly with billions of dollars. I mean, honestly, these are $25 million companies we're going up against. So if we want to unite the cannabis culture, first we got to bring the community leaders together, bring them to the table, and then bring all of our people together so that when it drops to the provinces, we can get a proper legalization model for Canada and we can lobby for what is truly going to be the best for the country of Canada and the future of our kids. And for the patients.
I think we need the lifting of prohibition, and we need an apology from the Crown and the Queen, and right from the top, right from the people that have been running this forever, from the UN, from all these politicians, from the police departments. I think everybody in Canada needs an apology, and they need to just lift prohibition. I think that's my opinion on it all.
Well, that's what Justin's doing. Justin, in essence, just so we're clear, when you legalize, you lift prohibition. That's why it comes out of the CDSA and it drops down to the provincial authorities. And at that time, the provincial authorities are going to say, hey, well, the LPs are the only legal supply, so we're going to make the Cannabis Control Board, just like the Liquor Control Board. And then you're going to have your little depots, which will be your LP clinics. And they'll all sell LP weed.
Think of all the damage that's been done by the state to people's homes. Think how many people have been murdered over how many years because of this plant, you know?
Well, I think that's a good place to start would be simply having us lobby our own new federal government to send a cease and desist letter to all RCMP and police dispatches across the country saying to stop with all pending investigations, arrests, and charges for cannabis.
Especially if you're going to
that
legalize.
would be a very small place to start for right now. And yes, Jason, we need to unite all of us in one form of. I would love to regain my seat on the coalition. For the prairies. Anything that continues this fight. Right now, all I know is the call to action for us in Saskatchewan is just financial. There's the big thing right now just to help keep the club afloat. Otherwise, when it comes time to lobby against the new laws that we want to see regulatory control that suits the best interest of all of us. I mean, we still have the outcome of the Allard case yet, too. So where do we even stand? All the people that have MMAR licenses should be continuing to overgrow the government. We're allowed to produce, so let's fucking produce.
That's
and
it.
Whatever you got left over, I don't care if you got to throw it from the fucking 12-story balcony down to med patients so nobody sees you with little parachutes. Distribute it however you can within inside your community that doesn't get you busted, and make sure that all the patients across Canada are supplied with what they do need instead of us just using that program to supply our own existence.
I keep it within the culture. I agree, Jeff. Keep it within the culture. Supply ourselves. Patient providers of Canada, keep providing your patients. We've been doing it for all this time under Prohibition. Keep doing it now. Let this price war evolve. They want it. They push for it. They build their jails. They threaten us with their mandatory minimums. Go ahead. Let's have the price war. Because I guarantee you the underground doesn't have the overhead that the MMPR does. And it's unfortunate, but until patient providers can truly operate in a free and fair market, we cannot stop.
They can get their hydro subsidized. They can get much cheaper hydro and different things than the average grower can. So they could start producing for quite cheap, and then they could use people's taxes to cover, the product for people. So there's a lot of dirty tricks that a fascist can do by using socialism. And that these are the things we have to watch for in the future is they could do a lot of things using our tax dollars to basically say there's free weed for everybody, which just takes it away from everybody, and it basically just gives it to only the LPs. How long can they sustain that? Really, I don't know, but
On that note, Chad, you're right, because here it is. This is what I've been saying, guys. Since last year, they announced they were soliciting the provincial formularies. What that means is that each province covers its own Medicare. And if LP weed gets covered, people like me can then have my cannabis covered. And I guarantee you patients that live on disability checks and have to choose between medicine and the milk for their kids, they're going to go and order that LP weed. And they've already got WorkSafe covered. They cornered that market because WorkSafe now covers you for LP weed.
Right. So it seems like they'll have to try to go in order and try to do it, where before they bring out this sort of legal recreational market, they'll have to do it that way. That way they'll shut down anybody that's ever been producing that way. And they'll say that there's no more legal people. They'll try to shut everybody down. And then after that, they'll have to, then they'll say, oh, well, then now it's recreational now that they've got their monopoly set full and locked down. And then they'll start selling to the average public.
Just so our viewers, because a lot of people keep saying to me, I get these emails, they're like, Jason, what is a monopoly? I don't understand what you're talking about. And a monopoly is when somebody has control over supply and distribution. These 26 companies, which will be 51 about this time next year, will control supply and distribution for the country of Canada. If they had their way, if they had gotten our gardens, they would have absolute control over supply and distribution right now.
Right now.
Right now, they would be the gods, the kings of cannabis. Allard, is stopping them. And I hope to God Justice Phelan rules in our favor, because that will be the boost that this culture needs, because we will have secured the genetics, secured the plants, and secured the gardens, allowing for a free and fair market in Canada.
They've already got all the smart meters in place too, right? So they thought of this well ahead of time, you know. I mean, I think they were ready for, they seemed to roll it all out together. You know, the smart meters in place, they started, you know, pulling the licenses. You know, we had to start fighting them. If people decided to go on the underground again, you know, it'd be a lot tougher for most people to do. You know, those smart meters are watching everything. Your bills are going up now. You know, it's harder to even put out cannabis for a reasonable price at the rate that you have to pay for electricity in some places now. So, yeah, it's a big dirty thing I see them, you know, coming out with here. I myself don't have a smart meter. I protested it, and I hope there's a lot of people out there that did too. You didn't need to take that smart meter. I hope you realize that it's damaging you. It hurts you. It's radiating you and your family. It's about 100, some people say 1,000 times stronger of a signal than a cell phone, and it's strapped to your house, radiating you every single day nonstop. So there's some people that say they wouldn't even let, you know, scientists that say they wouldn't even let their children play in the backyard around a smart meter. So a lot of people out there, you know, folks, I think it's time we protest a lot more than just cannabis. There's a lot of things that these people are trying to do to us to damage us and force down our throats, like these smart meters that are not smart at all. They're very stupid, and they're hurting us.
Well, I agree. We definitely have to pick our fights, and we have to pick the ones that we can win. And right now, the war finally is coming to a conclusion in the war over cannabis legalization. This has been coming. We said 2015, 16, 17, this will be the year where you see legalization. Next year, I believe, is when you're going to see the strike of the pen. May even come this year, but I think next year, early next year, you're going to see the strike of the pen. Like I had on our shirts, 2016 for the end of Allard. You know, we weren't sure because after all the appeals, we're expecting to win. We're expecting to have to appeal. Even if we lose, we're going to appeal. So, yeah, I don't even know where I'm going. I just wanted to jump in there again and express, because those questions comes in about the monopoly. They come in about when's Allard going to come in, and then some other people said, "What if Justin legalized about Allard? Would we just drop Allard? And does somehow legalization trump Allard?" No, it doesn't. Until we have personal cultivation enshrined in the Constitution of Canada, so as a constitutional right, we're not going to stop, because otherwise we fail in that agenda. The government's not just going to hand over the plants and say, go ahead and allow yourselves to, you know, self-supply. They want the billion-dollar crop. It's all about the money. Follow the money. My friends in Canada out there, patriots to Canada, you should be standing up and opposing a monopoly that's been set up with the legislative arm. And again, Chucky, I'm calling you out. Chuck Raffishi, Chief Financial Officer of the Liberal Party, founder of Tweed. You made $1 million. You sold bunk weed to medical patients. That's gamma processed. And you sit there and you claim to make nothing. Most importantly, you're the Chief Financial Officer of the now standing party that's in, you know, basically in charge, the Prime Minister. So you're still the Chief Financial Officer, and you're knee deep in the money and the greed of the MMPR. So Chucky, I hope you do come on my show, and I hope that you'll talk to me so we can talk about how your shares don't equal money and how you didn't make any money. And we'll talk about why you're serving on a new board of directors with another LP. Gentlemen, in closing, anything?
Just keep up the fight. Good to see everybody, and let's unite this country and let's end this. Let's let this be the last cannabis fight.
Flow the medicine and free the people. I mean, we just need to see change, like Chad said. I love where everybody's heart's at. I need your pocketbooks and your checkbooks to be at the same place. So if you guys can help us in Saskatchewan, market the Compassion Club. Like you said, he started a GoFundMe page. It's all over Facebook. If you need to get in touch with me, skunkfunksmoker.ca is our website for the store, or sasburycup.ca. You can catch us on skunkfunksmoker@gmail.com or sasburycup@gmail.com. We're also hosting a steak night at the Sutherland Bar on November 16th. All proceeds going to the Saskatchewan Compassion Club. And I believe we got another rally coming up at the police station this weekend. If you're in or around the area and want to help support. Otherwise, feel free to reach out to either myself, Jeff Lundstrom, or Mark Hauk at the Saskatchewan Compassion Club. So thanks for everything you guys have done.
Everybody
Absolutely.
should flood that protest and get down there.
I would also say to all of our cannabis rights volunteers, all of our people in this region, please come out. We know our national reps are already out there doing their thing. And Jeff, I will talk to you more offline about coming back. We know that you are you are the voice of the prairies, and they need you. And brother, you know they need you. So stand up and be that warrior that you've always been, and they will come to you. But people that are in the closet, come out. There's no time to hide. This will be the time. What are you going to tell your grandchildren? What are you going to tell your kids? You know, what did you do when they legalized in Canada? Did you let in the monopoly, or did you kick up dust and make it a free and fair market? On that note, this is Jason Wilcox signing out. We'll see you next week on Cannabis in Canada. Stay tuned for more.
Cannabis in Canada.
Can you guys still hear me?